around.
No, because
it's
they
not
use-
because
they-
Bambe Bashaya
they
Bafana
use sex-
Bancane.
They've been using sex in fact from the 90s.
Yeah, but
you
maybe
know.
with women.
Even during the MK camps, in fact.
Even
Now
the
it's about
camps,
Tabana,
the
Ngaba.
Baituna,
Yeah, we know that.
the culture,
What
I'm a
did you
slave
say?
queen.
Even during the camps,
What
the
happened?
MK.
What happened?
Abatavazana.
This is something that's documented.
No, I've heard a lot
Rumors.
of people.
It's
No.
allegedly.
What is
When,
what is documented?
when
Define
Sunday
document-
Sun.
Wait, define
Did
documentary.
you read it somewhere?
Daily Sun.
I've read it somewhere.
Somewhere
I've
official.
watched a documentary like 1982.
Amachida
where two-
yadlane le
no, even women
makurela.
were saying, "Wait, amachida bebaslela ngenkathi."
Was it official?
What is official?
Ayanda Dlodlo said.
Okay, when you say official, what is
Ayanda
I
official?
want you to say allegedly so that Pincha Mungaboshwa.
Allegedly, yeah.
He said rumor.
Mara-
When he said rumor,
He didn't say rumor. He didn't say rumor.
Ayanda Dlodlo said, when you go to exile, they didn't give us guns. They gave us prevention tablets. And why Vala Lab?
The female soldiers
She
from
was
the DRC.
answering the question, Oguti, why is it that the female candidate or the female leg of the ANC, which is the ANC Women League, they don't promote their candidate to become president. What you must remember what happened in exile. These women, they're still terrified of these men. Because when you got to exile, they gave us prevention pills. Or on the airwaves, it has been the issue where in one of the interviews I was interviewed and I had mentioned the ANC in exile, how they treated their female comrades. And I had quoted to Ayanda Dlodlo when she was with Power FM, interviewed by JJ Taban. I remember that show vividly because I was also invited to be one of the contributors. The producer Ayake called me, do you want to be part of the show? And she had said, or I hate using allegedly, but I heard her saying, and if I'm wrong, I will apologize. She said when they arrived in exile, they gave them prevention pills and not guns. And that came after the ANC Women League. I think at that time it was Angie Mutsecha. And Mutsecha was asked as to why is it that women in the ANC, they are not supporting their female candidate, but they are supporting Jacob Zuma at that time. They are always supporting a male candidate. And, you know, the vibe was that the female comrades in the ANC, they are scared of their male counterparts because of what had happened in exile. And if you go through the TRC reports, you will check and see, Uguti, there were reports of sexual abuse in the ANC camps by their male counterparts, their commanders, not only in the ANC, the PAC as well, ZANU-PF. Actually, it has been a norm in the liberation movement, with many females went into exile and they were abused that side. They came back. Some, they were married to these guys. That I can understand, because when people are together, they tend to, socialize. But there are guys who came back, who left 1976 with their girlfriends, some with their wives, and they were separated. And they do make mention, Uguti, the commanders, when they got into the other side, they took their wives. And if a woman could not cooperate, remember, you are far away from home. They could simply say you were a spy, you are an enemy agent. And once they say you are an enemy agent, your faith was sealed. Anything can happen to you. Those reports were brought into the TRC, Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Unfortunately, the ANC, when they took over power, they never followed up on those reports. And there are so many, like the ANC killing their comrades who were questioning, especially the 76 generation that went to exile. They found these guys in exile who left in the 60s. They had no fight in them. They didn't have the will to come back and fight. They were sitting in exile. Their leaders, they were making money at their expense, or they were running a scam, pretending to be fighting a war. So these guys, because they were still young, they left 1976. They asked these guys who were veterans, when are we coming back to South Africa or going back to South Africa and fight? They say in exile, the most dangerous question one could ask is to ask, when are we going back to South Africa? Because the likes of Oliver Tambo's, they were running a scam. Because Oliver Tambo was in London. Remember, we were colonized by the British Empire. The Afrikaners were also conquered in 2 wars, Anglo-Boer wars. They were conquered by the British Empire, and therefore they were managers in the system. And how is that possible that the leader of a revolutionary movement, he goes?
Paying you all the black pen. So, in the spirit of being responsible podcasters, especially with the stories that have been trending recently with open chats, and the derogatory things they said about the colored community, and MacG on Podcast and Chill saying very vile things or alluding to vile things around Minnie Dlamini, of which he's been sued for 2.5 million. I have posted a tweet before, and I'm going to reiterate that it's very important for all of us, including myself, to be more responsible as podcasters, because as much as we believe in freedom of speech, there are consequences to the things you say, especially when they hurt people, especially when they are deemed hate speech and when they are blatantly incorrect. With that being said, an episode of Amagents dropped on the 8th of August, 2025. That was, I think, last week Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And in that, it was myself, my brother Penson Mlotshwa, Tibo Khokibine of Tribal Media House, and advocate Ike Khumalo. And in that, there was something that was raised. And in that piece that was raised, one of the people whose names was mentioned reached out to me. And we had a conversation around the things that were said. And she said that this was not true. And she was hoping that I could clear this up. And that I could also ask Advocate Ike in particular, and also Tibo Khokibine, to please retract from the allegations that were made, which she claims are a blatant lie. With that being said, I want to mention who this lady is, and I want to read the piece that she asked me to read for you guys to hear. I'm a huge fan of this lady. I have huge respect for her, and I'm privileged to have known her for the last couple of years. Umama Ayanda Dlodlo. She was a South African politician, and she is a former cabinet minister. She used to be a member of Umkhonto weSizwe, the guerrilla army, not the political party, and she became a member of parliament for the ANC, the African National Congress, in 2009. She had become part of the National Executive Committee, the NEC, from 2007 in the ANC. After 2009, she was appointed Minister of Communications. This would be in 2017. Minister of Home Affairs between 2017 and 2018. She became Minister of Public Service and Administration in 2018, 2019, and also in 2021, 2022. And then lastly, she was Minister of State Security from 2019 to 2021. In April 2022, she resigned from government to take up a directorship at the World Bank. So we had a conversation, and she wrote me this piece, which I'd like to read to you. But before I read it, I just want to, from my side, apologize to her and to other people that were affected by the utterings on that podcast. And this is me taking accountability, responsibility, and saying that many more of us need to become more responsible. It doesn't mean that we mustn't share our views. It doesn't mean we mustn't share our opinions. We must speak truth to power, and we must share things that are very important to society. However, we need to be considerate about the things we share. Freedom of speech is not free when it hurts people, when it really, really upsets people, and when it is not based in truth. She captures the quotation from Advocate Ike Khumalo. Ayanda Dlodlo said, when you go to exile, they didn't give us guns. They gave us prevention tablets and Waivala lab. She was answering the question, Uguti, why is it that the female candidates or the female leg of the ANC, which is the ANC Women's League, they don't promote their candidates to become president? Wati, you must remember what happened in exile. These women, they are still terrified of these men because when we got to exile, they gave us prevention pills, close quote. Ayanda says, this is a blatant lie. No such question or issue was ever posed to me, and therefore no such utterance was ever said by me. This I also refuted in one newspaper many years ago. I can only be quoted on what I said and write about with regards to my life in the camps, where no such abuse, as purported by some of the people in that podcast, ever happened to me or anyone I knew. No statement can be attributed to me on the basis of someone's whims or interpretation. We were such a politically conscious group of very young people. Most of us were in our teens and others barely out of their teens, that displaying any act of disrespect or disdain towards any female soldier was frowned upon and actually carried rebuke or heavy punishment. The lies that are peddled about us female soldiers is most unfortunate and tarnishes not only our images, but also the male comrades that we shared trenches with. We did have relationships and we did get married, but we were not raped or turned into sex toys by our male counterparts. Contrary to what this man says, we all carried guns. We carried different types of weapons throughout our young lives as guerrillas, including artillery pieces and RPG-7s. Imagine the mayhem that would have occurred if women were raped or sexually abused. Those men would have been shot and killed. And that is the end of that. To Umama Uayanda Dlotlo, to all the women who fought, especially that were members of Umkhonto weSizwe and other female soldiers, from myself, from the guys in the convo team, and hopefully also on behalf of Advocate Ike Khumalo Ntibugo Kibine and my brother who was present there, Penson Mlocho, we'd like to apologize. I do hope, it is not my place to do it, I do hope that Ike Khumalo Ntibugo Kibine will retract as well what they said to this effect. We appreciate all the work that Umama has done. We appreciate all the work that other female leaders do in this country and female soldiers. And to all the podcasters and all content creators out there, guys, speak your truth. State your opinions. Expose what needs to be exposed. But be very, very considerate of the things you say and what harm they can cause. And where you can, use words allegedly, use apparently, try and quote your sources so that at least it can be linked somewhere, hopefully credible. Penuel the Black Pen.
According to you, we had soldiers who were in a war-torn Eastern DRC and people were captured. We had our female soldiers coming back pregnant. I asked the Deputy Minister of the military, Thandi Morake. I said, what actually happened? Why can't we be told, are these women victims? Were they willing participant of sexual acts in deployment? Is it legal if that happens? Were there no contraceptives? Were there not? I just want to understand what happens, or what according to you would have happened there. Are we guilty of exposing our female to treacherous deployments where we cannot be able to protect them? Were they violated by enemy soldiers? What is it? Because no one has actually told us. Is it closed because it's the rights of these people, and as a country we were deprived of knowing? We don't even know who are these victims. We just want to understand, because we might be silent because it's a private matter. They were victims, so they don't want to tell us, or they were actually participants, or meaning they are wrong themselves for exposing themselves to such things. I just want to understand, as someone who has been in deployment abroad, what could have happened to our female leaders?
Yeah, our women freedom fighters were sexually abused, as I say, by even top guys in the ANC, last Mbagoto. So some were promised scholarships to sleep with them. And after that, yes, she sent abroad.
What about these ones, these latest ones of the South African Defence Force who went to DRC?
Yeah, who came back pregnant.
Yes.
We are not told whether they were impregnated by our guys or Congolese. We don't know.
So it's very difficult to know. In your times when you were working, were there sexual relations between soldiers?
Of course, yeah. Like top guys in the who deployed with us, the commanders.
Okay, so they would have girlfriends amongst those deployed. So the reason I'm asking is, would it be so that they did not even have protection or contraceptives, or it was hidden? What could, because when they come back from a mission pregnant, it raises eyebrows. Are they victims or they are bad participants? According to you, what could have happened?
I don't have answer for that because I don't know how come you are sent to a mission abroad, you come back pregnant.
Okay.
You are going to represent your country, but you come back pregnant.
Yes.
They only can tell us what happened, who impregnated them.
Yes.
You must Google Ayana Zolone.
Yes.
She once told Zoetin that, I don't know which year was it, there was sexual abuse of women in MK camps.
Men or women?
Women.
Okay. Okay, let's do that. Because when Ike spoke about Ayanda Dlodlo contacted Ike. Let's just check. Okay. Ayanda. What? Yeah. Let's just check if Ki Sowetan.
Yeah, I don't remember which year.
Okay. Let's check if we are going to get aspect of some experience of women in the struggle. By Kelemaku, MK Commander alleges sexual abuse. Mr. Endatolo condemns abuse. Public servants. Sexual abuse. This Chelsea Commission to gender. I don't find anything directly to her, but if we do, we'll put it here. Because she has come out to refute some of the things that are said in the media about her. So, but if we find it, like I say, we'll put it here for everyone to see. So, is there anything that they just saw? Machine politically incorrect. I was with Meta Ndimuraka. Ndimuraka is a very capable cadre coming from the ANC Youth League, of course. She spent a lot of time in the ANC Youth League and she graduated. She made many, and she spent a lot of time in the Limpopo legislature herself, and then she graduated to national politics with the new dispensation. She's the Deputy Minister at DECO. So I thought this is an opportunity to ask her about the females who came back from a mission and they were pregnant. Circumstances around in that. Is there a statement that they've issued that we have not seen? Because I've not seen a statement, and I tried to check. I could not see the statement because I wanted to make a story about it, and it's because I'm very cautious when talking to women because I need to understand what is it that they do, so we answer them. But then, of course, I came across the utterances of the chairperson in Parliament, who she loves them as heroes for having gone that. So, and I'm assuming, of course, this could be because they've already assessed the situation if it's all fine. Because one of the things is, what if the females, because this is what social media, what if the females were I don't even know how to say it because, working on eggshells. What if they were victims from their colleagues, victims from other civilians in Congo, or victims from opposition? We do not know. And of course, the identity of these women have not been said. But I took an opportunity to ask her, what is it? And this is her answer. Machine Political Incorrect will tell me what you feel about it. Eitada.
We have seen everywhere where there are conflicts, we are accommodating those people in the country, giving them a refugee status, and DERCO is always utilizing its missions abroad to make it happen that those things are being achieved.
Is there a statement to explain, whether through government or any of the department, to explain the condition of the females who return back from South Africa? The state of their pregnancy, was it incurred during a forceful mean, or it was just a mission gone wrong in their personal capacity?
No, that one, I don't think we have to leave it to those individual women. You know, South Africa's government is fighting this issue of gender-based violence and femicide that is affecting mainly women in our society. So if it happens anywhere in the world or anywhere in the continent, South Africa will always voice its voice out to make it a point that women and children are more safer in those respective areas. So statements are released every time when incidences of this nature happen. Of course, DERCO has released a statement, and also the Ministry of Women and Children and Youth also have released a statement. So it's up to you as the people of the media to follow through those statements and see what is captured there.
Memarake, thank you very much.
Thanks for having.
By those. As I said earlier on, Susuka Eshaf 17 to Gauteng, from Gauteng to Poison's Hotel. Everybody will know how KB loved that Poison's Hotel. I remember we had an NGC, MVA at Shaft 17. Not sure if you comrades remember. And the
King. And
So do you have a problem if it is women who are now leading these royal houses, or Botswana fela?
I don't have a problem. What's one affair? Whether it's women or men. Actually, women, they have led before. Bomantatishi, Bo Nzenga, and they've led very well. You know, they've led, nations to war. They've won. And then they've, reigned, peacefully so. So I don't have a problem with that. Even Queen Elizabeth, I mean, she had the most successful empire for many years for her people. If I was believing in the royal houses and monarch, I would love to live under, her reign, because she made Britain what it is.
Politics.
Yes.
Longevity of females in politics. Ebola King, Ikawata King, you opined on as a feedback on the disclosures from Mandisa Mashego.
Okay.
And of course disappointed. What do you think is a brand of women activism or women in politics that makes women not to sustain longevity in politics? Bakawata King Basadi.
At the moment,
what rubs men off about women in leadership?
Yeah, I'll come to what rubs men off. But when it comes to South African politics, they don't offer much space for women because it's still male-dominated. Because we're still having that class yabo exile, that class yabo Robben Island. It was men, predominantly men. And women who are coming are those women that are appointed by these men. If you look into the history of the armed struggle, the history of apartheid struggle, MK, you go to Apla, you go to Azanla, most of these men, they have tortured these women in their camps. They have raped them. Some were killed, accused as spies if they did not cooperate. So there's that rape culture. That's why in the ANC, when they asked, why is it that women in the ANC, they don't promote a candidate of their own for presidency? I think Ayanda Dlodlo said these women, they're still scared of these men. I mean, the terror happening in exile is still fresh. Yeah. Many of them, they were abused. So that's why they cannot emerge. That's why they cannot allow any other young woman who's coming from somewhere fresh from school or the politics. Libona, they've sacrificed so much. When if you could put like a fella, they've got that thing, kokasi ko shipping. Or haji weliena. Akasi fitli fella no fella. We've sacrificed so much. And I feel like a degree the paper. Lena, Lorena, we've been abused. You check all of them.
I follow line.
Yeah, I follow line Lena ajiwe. a betche le yena ka kuku ya hae. So because if you check all of them, they marry each other. This one has got a kid with Zuma. This one has dated this. You check, it's like Barroundana. So, you know, even during the era Yambek, if you can notice, this one was a minister, the wife is a minister on the other side, is a deputy, there's a DG. It was never just a woman, free flowing from nowhere. You know, it's like, I can more like it, director general, okay, there's a husband. They were all interlinked. So it is that. So there's no space for people with capabilities, you know, model C, you know, to come in, you know, people who can lead us somewhere, you know, people who don't have those credentials or struggle. So they become the doorkeepers themselves, you know, but at the top, it's the ANC, you know, men. You know, how many times have we had these guys being accused? I always ask them, you know, I was in one of their groups.
Body count matters mostly to men because even in 2025, a woman's purity is still what determines her value. A woman's money doesn't determine her value. She can be Oprah Winfrey and be a billionaire. Men don't measure a woman's worth by her money. Looks go a long way, definitely. Looks for a man are the interview process because we are hunters. So I must be hunting prey I can see there. Whereas women, looks are not that high of a priority for men. It's nice for a guy who looks good. But women want provision. So a man who can provide, who when we arrive in a space, someone needs to get the equipment, someone needs to pay for something, someone needs to, Umashian is there. It's like, oh no, this guy, I feel some type of way. Providing resources, providing security, and providing leadership become the things that you measure a man on. So with that, a woman, unlike a man, doesn't care that much, honestly, about how many women you've been with, because that is not how she measures your value. But for a man, I want to know that you haven't been with a lot of men or any men at all, which means you're genuinely a prized possession that I want. You are a virgin or virgin territory, or you are pure. We haven't changed. I know there's a drive to change how we view these things, but in the real world out there, that's still the case.
The reason I'm dropping this is our history. It was a very difficult history. You know, Winnie Mandela was discampaigned using such things. Yes. They wanted her body count to matter. They wanted her, you know, they scandalized her on things that men won't be suffering even if you drop him. I mean, Jacob Zuma survived a lot of the dead. And a case in point is, you know, Mampela Rampere. You know, in politics, they would say she's known as Steve Biko's side chick.
That's correct.
So this is deliberately to drop her political credentials as if she did not participate fully. Does this body count or any debt put on a woman, is it the reason why we do not have female, even freedom fighters, who then ascend to power based on their credentials? What is it about? Because I mean, they suffer the same scandals. They are both crooks. They are conniving. But chess master Jacob Zuma style. But female, I mean, even in the ANC, you hardly ever find women going all out to support a female candidate. They tried a few times. So what is it about female, and why are we not ready to produce one? A female leader, the one that everyone could, because Helen Zille is the top one as we speak, she's the most powerful, and Renabo Daki would not have any. Why is it?
That's sad. You're very right. I want to highlight that point again. Helen Zille is the top female politician in the country, and she just so happens to not be black, and she just so happens to have parents that were immigrants in South Africa. Very interesting. Very interesting. It's definitely, in my opinion, this is my personal opinion, has nothing to do with body count at all. The decampaigning definitely happens, and I could almost argue that the same way Imam Winnie Madikizela Mandela would be decampaigned, there was an attempt with Jacob Zuma, there was an attempt with Amalusi.
It doesn't work on men.
No. I'm going to this point of they attempt the decampaigning.
Yes.
Even with the Sil Ramaphosa cupcake, with the Gwede Mantashe being a tiger. They try, but I don't think body count matters, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't think Jacob Zuma, it affected him. I don't think Umamuini it affected her, the body count in terms of leadership.
Okay.
I do think before her passing, in my opinion again, It's just she wasn't searching for titles and positions. I do think Umamwini was the most powerful politician we had. There've been arguments lately in terms of black being Umamuna Lady Pando. Many people have found a lot of favor with her, especially standing up, supporting Palestine against Israel and the like, and not mincing her words. Why do women not vote for other women? Is a very important question. Why do women not buy from female-led businesses? Why do women not work for female-led companies? I think the argument, very uncomfortable, is merit. I don't think we currently have women that are good enough. And I'd make a similar argument for black.
Is projected. It's like, Julius Malema decides and Mandisa is opinionated. But with feminists that I've seen, even Bonsigi, I don't think she'll survive, long in the MK. Even Bomandisa, they take it to the I don't know, maybe we're not ready for that, but for me, they take it to the extreme ends and it becomes adversarial. I feel that now as a black person, a black man, and a black woman, we need to be fighting on the same side as opposed to, opposite ends. I mean, you can see most feminism, when they emerge, it's against a black guy. They never say anything against any nationality, even with R. Kelly, even with Bill Cosby. They are more vocal. I'm not saying those guys, they were correct, but Tiger Woods and all that. And then it becomes adversarial. For years, women, they've been kicking men, and we keep quiet. Sometimes you just say, I can get it, but, the kicks became stronger and stronger. And you look in other nationalities, you don't see the people who are perpetuating racism, other nationalities, perpetuating all the stereotypes, all the gender inequalities because they've got power. Black men doesn't have power. You never see black feminism rising against those people. It is always us.
Now, which political party do you think you could last 6 months?
If I was a career politician,
Yes.
and it was about the stomach, I would go with MK. But okay. I'd give them problems because I'm not a Zuma camp at all.
Yes.
But I'm an MK.
Yes.
But I'm not a Zuma camp.
I'm asking you deliberately that because I gave an example of how Bonkosi Kanyile is struggling in MK.
Yeah, I can see.
There's a young man called Khanki who was fired by Julius Malema, and I told him, if you go to that. MK, you're not gonna last. And he's still dilly-dallying now. He's MK'd hard, but he's still reluctant to go there.
A lot of us are MK'd hard, but the thing is we've got to bow down to the Zumas, and it's like, I ain't going to do that. I don't even rate those people. Snap! So, yes. I can't do that. And I can't be with, I feel as if my voice... Mm-hmm. came before Twitter. Do Twitter and then she must be in a high position. I'm like, that's crazy.
Let's talk about crazy. So I'm one of those who say because
I need a fan.
Yes.
Hey guys, the 40s and hot flashes.
Yes. Hot flashes. Victoria's just hot. No, Skaroba like that. I'll give you another one. Let me give you Dictionary of Religion.
Okay, thank you.
Save
thank you.
Okay,
all right.
Okay, Bon.
But
let's talk about
Casta's comments during Fees Must Fall.
Anyways. Castaman was just a student. The student was worried about things.
And the other students must suffer because she sorted out.
Yeah, Mara. People make mistakes.
But you were saying, no, I love Casta.
Yes. Yeah. So, I don't like a quiz. Yeah. Because I'm a man.
Yes.
And I'm taking a position as a man. Mm-hmm. I'm one of those who say, Jacob Zuma was acquitted. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to allow a cloud to linger on someone's head, even when Pula Inele, the season has to change, remove it on, I still think it's unfair to attach Kwezi with Jacob Zuma. That's me as a man, and that's my stance. I want to give an opportunity to talk about this.
I think Jacob Zuma was an elder in that situation, and it's his comrade's child who has passed. I think there's something very off about that. Just me personally, where you're just like, you were in a position of power. It's much like the Judge Mbenge situation now, where we're like, yeah, she floated back. Yes, it's valid. But he was in a power, there was a power dynamic. So the minute there's a power dynamic, there's no consent, and it's not, the ground is not equal at all. So, kwezini lingwana, Musum, right? So, whichever way we look at it, I mean, even if I do believe that she was a honey trap, and she was set as a honey trap, but if he is a principled person, he wouldn't have gotten into that in the first place. So,
Mashani, politically incorrect. Women topics are very difficult. The reason they are difficult is, as a man speaking about women, I'm always at the danger of offending women because I'm speaking about a topic that I do not know of. This is why every opportunity to speak to women, I always ask them, why do you think there's a difficulty in producing female leadership, whether in society or in politics? And why is it that I've asked a lot of women? Unfortunately, you'd see this podcast that not include everything, but also again issues that are impacting women. Women would sometimes prompt us to speak about them, because when we are silent, it looks as if we are complicit and we are looking away. When we as men talk about issues that involve women and the difficulties, it may also be seen as insensitive. But like I said, apologies if we have offended any women in recording of this podcast and many others. The intention is clearly not to offend, but to to find a voice so we could engage with women. Mashani, politically incorrect. Apologies for those who have been offended by this podcast, and I'm taking a leave from Penwell to say all the other men should apologize, and we're doing the same thing. We want to apologize to all women who are offended about men who talk about women. Maybe direct us, because like I say, every opportunity we find when we speak to women, we want them to speak with them about women, because we are afraid that we may be blamed for not opening discussion that involve women. Mashani, politically incorrect. Thank you.